Okay, so our next speaker is Paul Nairn. He is an enthusiastic lover of travel and interesting life experiences. He currently works for a technology and customer experience company called Squiz as a senior UX experience consultant. His experience stems from different vocations and areas of the world, and having finally found a field he's passionate about a few years ago, he's here to spread the word about the grassroots approach. So please welcome Paul on stage.
Hello, can everyone hear me? Should have handed out a 2-for-1 pass, I guess, eh? Sure, hopefully there's a few others turning up. Hi, thanks for coming and listening to me. Hope you've been getting a lot out of the conference so far, and hopefully I can offer you a little bit more. We're here to talk about the grassroots approach and a little bit of my experience in the field. Business lessons from sustainable development and from development work in developing countries. So what we're looking at here is a place I spent just over 12 months at in Thailand. It's a village called Sangkhlaburi, which is on about 7.5, 8 hours northwest of Bangkok by bus, right on the border of Burma. And it's home to a lot of Burmese refugees that escaped the conflict from Burma that was going on there back at 5 years ago. This was Sangkhlaburi is a village. What you're looking at is one of the biggest, or the biggest man-made lake in Thailand. The river level doesn't allude to that. That's a wooden bridge there as well. That's the biggest wooden bridge in Southeast Asia. It's made of logs and sticks and anything else the builders can get their hands on. But the water level actually changes in monsoon season to get up above the level of the bridge. So people actually traversing the bridge between both sides of the village are actually wading up to their knees in water, which is quite interesting. So who am I? Like Paul said, I'm Paul as well. Paul Nairn. I'm a lover of the outdoors. I like to be out there surfing, hiking, fly fishing, getting amongst it, enjoying the energy out there. I'm a user experience consultant for a technology company called Squiz. And I'm a passionate traveller. Travel for me has provided me with so many different experiences in life that I wouldn't be able to get anywhere else. But most importantly for me, it's enabled me to develop and establish a great empathy for other people around the world, especially in developing countries, and given me an insight into how the rest of the population, or the majority of the population of the world, actually live and feel and get on. That's a photo of me. You see it clearly? On my second day on the job, there was a bike trip with the teenage boys. I was working for an organisation that was a children's home, basically, for Burmese refugees. And I got off the bus there and met the founder of the place, who was an Italian nun. And before I even got my pack off, she said, "Nice to meet you. Tomorrow you're meeting with the teenage boys and you're escorting them up into the jungle of Thailand for 3 days to look after them. They want to go to a village that they're very familiar with and take care of them. Please be their escort." And so it was kind of a shock. So I met these boys in the morning and got our mountain bikes and found out that 2 of them spoke very broken English. So and I had no idea where we were going or what we were doing, to be honest. It was them looking after me. So that's me on day 2, and it was 40-degree heat in the middle of nowhere. We made it to the village, thankfully, and I was kind of thankful I was still alive at that point. So how did I get to be here today to speak to you guys? Anyone recognise this place by any chance? It's a place called Waikiki on Oahu in Hawaii. I was on the north shore of Oahu, and the big wave breaks of Waimea Bay, Pipeline, Sunset Beach. I was there on a bit of a pilgrimage and got an email from the conference organisers here saying, "Come along and present." And I thought, my initial reaction was, I felt like I'd been asked to kiss one of these guys, and that's something I'm not really keen to do. But I kind of thought about it for a while and was lying in my bunk across the road from this place, which is Waimea Bay. I was listening to those waves crash, and I was thinking about, you know, these surfers out there, and the first time they go out and paddle into these waves, it must be terrifying. So I kind of thought, well, if they can do that for the very first time, I can do this. And, you know, so this really is my first big wave, and hopefully I come off a little bit more like this guy in the middle rather than the guy on the other side. But hey, at least he's trying, eh? And I'm not risking my life, right? So what are we here for? We're talking about the grassroots approach. There's another shot of that wooden bridge that gives you a bit more idea of what it was made of. There's some construction workers up here actually doing some repairs, but obviously there's a whole lot more repairs to happen. We just spent a bit of that time, a bit of our time, downtime, sitting on top of that, watching the stars and drinking a couple of beers and shots of Thai whiskey with other NGO workers, non-government organisation workers from around the region. So, any ideas on what the key element to the grassroots approach might be? Just shout it out.
Talking to the people, please.
Talking to the people. It's all about the people. It's all about the people being impacted, dead right. Why? Because they know best how something will affect their lives, and getting them on board is vital to a successful outcome. If we engage them, they can help guide our efforts in a much more efficient and effective way than we would going in blind or with an assumption-based model. This is day 3 on that trip with the boys from the home on the mountain bikes into the jungle. I didn't even have any idea. I didn't even think to question what food we had with us, and got to mealtime and the boys dragged out this bag of rice and was that all we've got to eat? And I'm like, no. They kind of messed around in the undergrowth and got some bamboo and other bits of vegetation and fashioned bows and arrows and spears out of this stuff. And then we jumped in this river that was running along out here somewhere, and they were shooting these fish that were like this size. I couldn't even see them, and they were shooting arrows into the water and picking them up, and they got about a dozen of these things every time we needed a meal, and harvest watercress type vegetation from the river as well. And so, you know, these teenage boys were looking after themselves in terms of diet requirements. You know, we had rice, we had our protein from our fish, and we had our green. It was awesome. So, my experience at Bunranrak Children's Village in Sangkhlaburi in Thailand, I mistakenly thought I could change the lives of people I was going to be working with before really understanding their life situation. I thought I could go in there and tell them that they could do anything they set their mind to before understanding their life situations. And this naivety was really harmful to them. Taking the time to find out more about their situations from other staff members, other volunteers that have been at this organisation for a while, and from the kids themselves, I soon learned that all was not what I had assumed. I took the opportunity to find out about one particular kid and her background, and she was a young girl, age 7, and the reason why I got curious was because she had massive scars across her shoulders, and it was from machete wounds from a drunken stepfather one night. So knowing that, there was 150 kids at the home, and I decided I didn't want to know any more past backgrounds or stories, so we'll concentrate on who they are now and what we can do for them now and what we can do for them in the future. So yeah, taking the time to find out more about these situations, I found that they had no passports. They were refugees from Burma. They were unable to travel out of the village of Sangkhlaburi to go and, you know, explore further opportunities that we might take for granted, like doing whatever we want in New Zealand, you know. They had very limited finances or no finances at all. So I had to change my views on how I would work with them very quickly. It's another shot. That's the whole bunch of the boys that I was out on the mountain bike trip with. Cool bunch of kids, really cool bunch of kids. So I got to know staff from the other 70 NGOs in the region, And when I say the region, I'm talking about 150 square kilometres. So we were fortunate enough to get to know each other, and we established this network of friends of people from around the world, all there for a common cause, you know. So in our downtime, we'd socialise, we'd go and we spend time on top of that wooden bridge at night on a Friday or Saturday when we didn't have too many duties or commitments the next day, and have a couple of drinks and kind of wind down a bit. We discussed the challenges amongst ourselves that we faced in our respective organisations, and we soon understood that involving the local communities from the start was imperative to the success of a project. Okay, there's a couple more photos from my experience. Obviously, this guy here, he was certainly one of my favourites. He usually spent his life in a Superman outfit, running around the home in a Superman outfit. I could tell this day he wasn't very happy. He didn't have a Superman outfit on. So you do what you can to try and cheer these kids up, eh? Over here, the bottom right, it was the highlight of the week as well for a lot of these kids. We would take the kids down on a Saturday or Sunday down to the river, which is about 20 minutes away, and they would swim and look after themselves, look after each other, play with each other, and you know, the girls would take buckets of laundry down and actually do laundry in the river, you know, in kind of a traditional manner. We'd pole, 30 or 40 kids down on the back of a pickup truck to get them down to the river, and try and get away with that in New Zealand. So, hey, you guys have had it really easy for the last day and a half, eh? So, got a little exercise for you. It won't take long. You need to get through it fast. If I start eating into other people's time, I'll start losing fingers. So, right, the first step is I want you to think of something. It can be a product or service that would improve your daily morning routine, okay? It can be creative, anything you like. Anything that would improve your daily morning routine. Anything. Everyone's got to do this. No one's off the hook here. A few seconds. Give us an indication if you've got an idea of what that might be. Yeah? Alright. Now partner up, whoever's sitting next to you, and share your idea with them. Alright? Share your idea with them and find out whether your idea is actually going to improve or benefit their morning routine in any way. Just solicit a yes or no answer, okay?
Right.
Alright, how are we doing, guys? This is a quick one. Fast game's a good game. Alright, next step. We ready for the next step? Yeah? Ask your partner to identify their pain or frustration points in their morning routine, and then make a change to your original idea to accommodate or improve those pain points in your partner's morning routine. Does that make sense? So you've got an original idea, ask your partner about their morning routine, find out what their pain points are, and try and change your idea to accommodate your partner's pain points or improve your partner's pain points, improve their morning for them with your idea. Be creative, guys.
knowing how far away it is really helpful as well. How long is it below here? So very important. So half an hour to get the opposite.
How are we going, guys? Want to start losing fingers? You know, my fingers are in your hands. Go down the back, say, if you cut into my time.
Have more time!
Right, okay.
All yours!
That's cool. So,
Alright, how are we doing? Alright. So, the change to your original idea, does that work now to accommodate your partner's morning routine? Has it done anything to improve their morning routine for them?
Press the button to set up.
Yes?
And they can time it.
Any yeses? Paul? I saw a hand lifted up there.
So it's like 100.
Yeah, there was a validation. Too cold to get up in the morning.
Yeah?
That idea is validated.
Yeah. And what was your idea to get around that?
So the idea
Just
was,
not get up?
or like a smart house that can go in the morning mode.
Alright.
Yeah.
I'll buy
It's
it.
not my idea.
I'll buy it. Anyone else want to share an idea that works for you? Yeah? Okay.
So we had the problem of commuting to a coffee shop, which was near work.
Commuting to a coffee shop.
The commute time can change, and also having to wait around at the coffee shop needlessly because the coffee shop is just below where my family works.
Right.
So the idea being, well, we could pre-order the coffee, but then the time it takes for them to make the coffee varies depending on the queues and things like that. So we thought, well, what we could do is if he tells the app when he's leaving his house,
Just timing it perfectly.
then things like Google Maps and things like their coffee queue length can work out when they should start making the coffee so that it's
Right.
really right.
He's 100 metres away. He's walking. Get onto
So
it.
they're about half an hour away.
Brilliant.
But
I'll
then
buy
they
it
start,
too.
is it like a 20 minutes wait on coffees or is it like a 5-minute wait? And they sort of
Awesome.
adjust when they start it so it's not cold when he gets there.
Awesome. Perfect. I'm buying. So what have we just done? We've considered and collaborated with these people we're designing for, okay? Rather than just designing something based on our own assumptions or experience. So if your original idea, without changing it, already improved your partner's morning routine, then what you just did was validate that your idea was on the right track, and that's really important, okay? So moving right along, The White Man's Burden. It's a book by Mr. William Easterly. It's a really interesting book. It's all about why the West's efforts to aid the rest have done so much ill and so little good. It's an interesting graphic up there. Sorry if it offends, but I think it tells a profound message. Easterly goes on to talk about the different approaches to providing development aid to developing countries and their advantages and disadvantages. It's clear which approach Easterly favours, and it's not a top-down waterfall approach, it's the grassroots approach. In this book, Easterly describes two main types of change agents currently working in the field of development in developing countries. These change agents are planners and searchers. Looking at planners first, look at this guy sitting in his ivory tower. Pretty chuffed with himself. He's got a nice view, I'll give him that. According to Easterly's book, the key characteristics of planners include the following. Being advocates of the traditional approach, being the top-down or waterfall model. They announce good intentions, but often fail to motivate anyone to carry them out. And you've got to remember, we're talking about from the context of development work, providing aid to developing countries, okay? They raise expectations, but take no responsibility for meeting them. They determine what to supply and apply global blueprints. So I'm talking about here is this guy sitting in New York, or maybe it's San Francisco, from his head office, and applying a global blueprint, applying an approach and chucking it at, say, a community in Costa Rica, and grabbing that same approach and applying it to a community in Kenya. You know, these two groups of people have very, very different needs, different beliefs, different cultures, different ways of life. they couldn't be further removed from each other. And one approach to cater to them both is just not going to work. Planners at the top, they lack knowledge of the bottom. They already think they know the answers. They believe outsiders know enough to impose solutions, and they keep pouring resources into fixed objectives despite previous failures or a track record that the objective is infeasible or the plan unworkable. They don't tend to learn from their mistakes, okay? They fail to search for what does work to help the poor, and they live by a we know best mentality. The flip side of this coin, searchers. So Easterly's book goes on to describe the key characteristics of searchers, including being agents for change in the alternative approach. And that alternative approach is, anyone got any ideas what that alternative approach is? No? It's the grassroots approach. That's what we're here to talk about, the grassroots approach. Got it? They find things that work and keep refining them, okay? They accept responsibility for their actions. They find out what is in demand and needed at the bottom. They adapt to local conditions. They find out what the reality is at the bottom by going and being a part of it, getting down there on the coalface and working with these people, getting amongst them, immersing themselves in their lives. They find out if the beneficiaries, and when I say beneficiaries, I'm not talking about people receiving the dole, I'm talking about people that they're trying to provide benefit for, people that are being impacted. They find out if the beneficiaries are satisfied with whatever it is being provided for them. Searchers admit that they don't know the answers in advance, but hope to find the answers through trial and error experimentation and working with the people they're trying to help. Searchers believe only insiders have enough knowledge to find solutions, and most solutions must be homegrown, from the ground up, from the grassroots up. They're already finding things that help the poor and could find many more with the right resources and funding. Searchers only know if something works if the people at the bottom can give them feedback. If there are feedback mechanisms set up, so these people, you can consider them your customers and end users. If these people can actually give feedback and let you know that what you're trying to do for them and provide for them is actually working. Searchers are close to the beneficiaries at the bottom, rather than surveying the world from the top. So I have a quick question for you. Which are you? Who would consider themselves to be a planner? It's okay. It's okay. How about searcher? People searchers? How about both? Cool.
I'll get both.
Cool. I would say if you're a planner, there's nothing wrong with that, but I would implore you to engage a team of searchers for you, to get them down there on the coalface, to get them down there, out there finding whether whatever you're providing, whatever strategy you're adopting is actually working for your customers and end users. So if you're a planner, just get a bunch of searchers out there working for you, doing that work, ensure that they're there. More aid and development organisations, like non-government organisations, non-profit organisations, are trending towards a grassroots approach and moving away from top-down strategies because the latter approach is proving unsuccessful time and time again. Those that aren't making the shift still find themselves struggling to achieve success with their projects regardless of the funding and resources they pour into them, because they don't understand and can't empathise with the people they're hoping to benefit. They waste resources, and the people and communities that are trying to benefit are no better off. This is a desirable situation. There's a bunch of happy kids playing soccer. This is at Bunanrak Children's Village where I was working, and this was a monthly occurrence. We'd organise, like I said, there's 150 kids there, and so we'd organise a soccer tournament once a month, every Saturday, and it was a big highlight for the kids. Simple things. Living quarters up the back there as well. It kind of gives you an understanding in terms of, you know, where we were and you know, where we're living. What's the desirable situation? It's understanding the people being impacted. It's developing empathy from within the context of their lives and not yours. It's engaging them in collaborative efforts through the design and build process. It's establishing properly managed feedback loops from implementation. It's being accountable for addressing and acting upon feedback and refining your products and services accordingly. Locals tend to be their own best searchers, and when I say locals, I'm talking about your customers and end users as well, okay? They tend to be their own best searchers, finding appropriate workarounds that suit the context of their own lives and situations. And that's why it's a fundamental reason why they should be collaborated with throughout projects aimed at benefiting them. They can help you help them, okay? Write that one down. You can have that for free. They can help you help them. It's really important. It's the plan to get there. It's that plan with the grassroots approach. So what does this mean in the field of development work? It means all NGOs, non-government organisations, non-profit organisations and government bodies working together and collaborating with the people and local communities being impacted by projects and work being done to improve their lives. It means getting them around the table to begin with. It means conducting appropriate research techniques and strategies to better understand the people and the communities, establishing a deeper empathy for these beneficiaries. It's designing solutions specifically for the people being impacted from the context of their own lives. This is commonly referred to as human-centered design, a term that we're all familiar with here, I would imagine. It's continuing to collaborate with beneficiaries through established and appropriately managed feedback loops. What can you do? 3 points here we're going to focus on from now. Search for what works for the people that you're trying to provide for. Number 2, continue collaborating with them throughout the design and build process of a project. Number 3, listen and evaluate. Listen to what they have to say and carefully evaluate whether what you're providing is actually benefiting them. So, drill down into number 1 a little bit more. Search for what works. We need to identify who the real beneficiaries are. We need to listen to these people and learn all we can about them. We need to understand the context they live within and from. We need to establish true understanding and empathy for them. And only then can you really identify their real needs and requirements and cater to them. I've got a case study here. It's called the Lucky Iron Fish. That handsome chap there is holding up a lucky iron fish. Has anyone heard of the Lucky Iron Fish? It's a project that was set up by an organisation in Cambodia, and the project was there to reduce the levels of anemia, which is a lack of iron in the diet, and it was something that was impacting the local people in Cambodia significantly. A lack of iron in the diet means people can lack energy, they're feeling lethargic, and kids like this guy here can lack attention, and it affects their learning in schools and stuff like that. So a really important thing they were trying to tackle here. This case study kind of goes into explaining the challenges they faced, how they got around them, and you know, a nice successful outcome. So it's a quick video for you.
When I first moved to Cambodia, I lived in a rural village, and it took a little bit of time before people got used to this sort of foreigner wandering around. Initially, I was here to search for a remedy to a problem: anemia, caused by a lack of iron in the blood. It causes dizziness and weakness. It breeds complacency and lethargy. Kids can't concentrate in school. It also causes premature births and problems during pregnancy for women. Nearly 2 out of 3 children are anemic. But this piece of metal has the power to stop it all. My challenge was to find a way to supplement the typical Cambodian diet of fish and rice. I knew that iron pills and other iron treatments weren't really affordable by many people in the villages. In my search, I found that cooking in a cast iron pot can release iron into the food, and that iron is then absorbed in the diet. But I realized that most Cambodian women use aluminum pots because they're cheaper and lighter. And then I got to thinking, what if I could get them to put this chunk of iron in their pot? It would be a simple, cheap, and accessible treatment that even the remote villagers could use. But my simple solution had one big problem. I found that the women were hesitant to add this sort of ugly piece of iron into their pots. I found that the iron blocks came in very useful, but just not in the pots. And so I realized I had to dig a little bit deeper. I searched for everything. I looked at sayings and beliefs, I looked at rituals, anything that would give me a better understanding of Cambodian culture. And then I landed this, a symbol of good luck. I think I was a little bit shocked when I found out how positive the findings were. In the test areas, anemia has pretty much disappeared altogether, which is absolutely astounding. It was far exceeded what we had expected. We're hoping that this little fish holds the key to treating anemia across the region and beyond. It's definitely one lucky fish.
Yeah, great project. True searcher right there, searching for what works and didn't stop until he found it. And the result of that was really a successful project that really benefited the people he was trying to benefit and impact. And that project is continuing to be rolled out around the world to other communities that do suffer from a lack of iron in their diet. So searching for what works, to recap that point, it's identifying who the real beneficiaries are. It's learning all you can about these people. It's understanding their context by immersing yourself in their lives. It's establishing true understanding and empathy. Only then can you identify their real needs and requirements. And then you can design something that's really going to delight and meet their needs. Next point, continue collaborating. This is about keeping the beneficiaries engaged throughout your process of designing and building products or services with them. Why? Because it ensures you're designing and building something that will be sustainable and has the legs to walk into a long future, benefiting the people it's supposed to. And if you're doing that, that's obviously going to benefit your business or organisation as well, and also walk that into a long future. Collaboration encourages a sense of value amongst the beneficiaries, creating a sense of community. Okay? Again, beneficiaries can be swapped that term out for your customers and end users. Same thing, same correlation. It shows you care about what they think and how they feel. How do you respond when someone shows you that level of interest? I know I respond positively and I really appreciate it. It encourages a sense of loyalty. It ensures you're on the right track, and by the right track I mean their track, by bringing them on the journey with you. Okay? Collaboration gives you a chance to iterate and test and iterate and test and iterate and test an idea or a design with the beneficiaries as your test participants. Okay? It's searching for what works for them. I've got another case study for you. This is a project called the Sand Dams Project. It's about an organisation in Kenya, and these guys were setting up these things called sand dams. It's quite an old, ingenious bit of engineering using materials at hand. I won't go too much into it. I've got another video here to show you, but I want you to focus on how this NGO engages the local people they're trying to help and the sense of community this approach brings. So what the sand dams do is provide year-round water for people and communities in areas that there isn't usually year-round water in very dry, arid countries. in development by engaging the local community from the beginning and throughout the project until deployment, development organisations have the opportunity to step back from managing the project and let the people take over the maintenance and management of it. So this is the ultimate goal of development work, okay? So a non-government organisation or non-profit organisation might go and set up a project, and by bringing the people on the journey with them, creating a sense of community, getting their buy-in, showing them how to operate and actually manage whatever it is this project is. It's building capacity within the people themselves to help them look after themselves. And at that point, when you're getting to the point of deploying whatever it is you're working on and building for these people, then the NGOs, in the ideal situation, can actually take a couple of steps back and let the local people run and maintain and manage this project on their own. Then those NGOs have the opportunity to step away and go and work with another community somewhere else and do the same thing, because these people here that they were working with originally are looking after this thing on their own, and it's sustainable for them. Why? It's because they've been on the journey with them, and the NGO has ensured that what they've built and developed is something that actually benefits the local people. So we'll just flick straight into this video. It's a little longer, so depending on time, I might cut it short, but it's really interesting.
40% of the Earth's land surface is classed as dry land, as characterized by long periods of drought and short periods of very intense rainfall. These dry lands are home to 1 in 3 people on the planet, most of whom live in developing countries where the constant search for water traps millions in a vicious cycle of subsistence. I'm Russell Beard in eastern Kenya, where an organisation is helping local communities mitigate the effects of climate change by improving soil health and food security and repairing endangered ecosystems. In many places, overgrazing and deforestation have reduced the land's capacity to absorb rainwater, so that when it does fall, more than 50% can be lost as runoff, taking valuable topsoil with it and turning fertile farmland into desert. Joe Kioko and his colleagues at the Africa Sand Dam Foundation are determined to help communities across Africa break the cycle of poverty and drought with an ancient rainwater harvesting technology called a sand dam. Okay, Joe, so yeah, I can see there's some activity going on down here. Yeah, this is where the action is. Which is amazing. The raw materials are bought with donor funding, but the manpower is all voluntary. A sand dam is a reinforced concrete wall built across a seasonal riverbed. Over 3 or 4 rainy seasons, sand is washed downstream and deposited in the reservoir behind the dam wall, which stores up to 40% of its volume as water. The sand slows evaporation, filters the water, and protects it from contamination by livestock or disease-carrying mosquitoes. And because the water table is raised, the entire ecosystem surrounding the dam regenerates naturally. How do you build a sand dam?
You make the formwork using timber, then you just mix cement and sand and water. Then you keep on adding rocks. You keep on adding rocks as well as the reinforcement bars held in place by the barbed wire. Yeah, shall we go down? Let's go down.
How many gallons of water do you think the sand dam will collect?
It will be millions of liters of water.
Millions of liters.
Millions of liters of water. So then they just come fetch water and go home. Mostly it was girls and women who are doing it. And that explains why there are more women than men here, because it is the women who are charged with the responsibility of collecting water.
It's a nice atmosphere, isn't it? Everyone is volunteering, they're all getting stuck in. This is genuine community work.
There is also a proverb in Kamba that says that it means one finger cannot kill lice. So for you to kill lice, you need 2 fingers so that you can press it. And that explains why the people are here to join hands to make this hard work light.
Chakimwiki Yoanga.
make light work.
Exactly.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for letting me take part.
Everybody contributing in their own small way, and the world keeps on building, keeps on building.
Joe wanted to take us to a mature dam to show us how it's transforming the environment.
We're walking on water, so to speak.
Look at this. You can see what an incredible, stark difference it is. It's just arid, sandy, just dry ground. And there it's just lush green. The animals are grazing. The trees are green. It's unreal. So these pools of water here, these are actually from last year's rains.
Yeah, because this acts as a reservoir, then it keeps on seeping down slowly, up until they get to the next rain season. And this is essentially what a sand dam does, holding water and then allowing it to flow downstream. Alongside getting water for these communities, then the microclimate also gets changed positively, such that people and animals enjoy their surroundings.
You're oasis makers, aren't you?
Exactly. I would say we are oasis makers, because if you manage to get something as green as this in the middle of a very hot and dry place, then that street will be called oasis makers.
Alright, we'll leave it there. So it's a pretty cool project, and again that was all about bringing the local community, the beneficiaries, on the journey with them. Keep the beneficiaries engaged throughout the process of designing and building your products and services for them. It ensures you're designing and building something that will be sustainable and has the legs to walk into a long future, benefiting the people it's supposed to. Collaboration encourages a sense of value amongst the beneficiaries, creating that sense of community. It shows you care about what they think and how they feel, encouraging loyalty. It ensures you're on the right track, and the right track being their track, okay, by bringing them on the journey with you. Continue to search for what works for them. That third, final point, listen and evaluate. Going back to William Easterly's book, The White Man's Burden, he goes on to say, evaluate based on feedback from the intended beneficiaries and scientific testing. A lack of feedback from the beneficiaries and accountability to these same beneficiaries is one of the most critical flaws existing in aid today. Easterly suggests this: Westerners shouldn't do things to and for other people without giving those people a way to let them know and hold you accountable for what you have actually done to or for them. Okay? Just ask them if they got what they needed most and if they're better off because of an aid intervention, and be accountable for the results. How would you do this? You do this through workshops, you do this through surveys, you do this through one-on-one interviews, you do this through observation, you do this by immersing yourselves in people's lives, right? Feedback only works if someone listens. Someone should be accountable for listening to feedback and responding and doing something with it. The number of organisations I've worked for where they have mechanisms set up to receive feedback, and that feedback is housed in an Excel spreadsheet sitting on someone's desktop, is really heartbreaking. There's gold nuggets in that feedback. If you've got mechanisms setting up and you're actually expecting people to provide you with feedback, show them to respect that and value that feedback by actually acknowledging and doing something with it. In the field of development, accountability is necessary to motivate a whole organisation or government to use searches to get people on the ground to evaluate whether they're actually making a difference. So, recapping, evaluate based on feedback. Are they better off? Demonstrate accountability by acknowledging and doing something with the feedback you receive. Improve whatever it is you're providing according to whatever it is your users are telling you they need. Be a searcher. Get out there and uncover how your beneficiaries are really feeling about what you're doing for them. So just to recap those 3 points: searching for what works for the people you're trying to provide for, continue collaborating with them throughout the design and build process of a project, and listen to what they have to say. Carefully evaluate whether what you're providing is actually benefiting them. That desirable situation again, desirable situation is kids being happy playing soccer. Understand the people being impacted. Develop empathy from the context of their lives and not yours. Engage them in collaborative efforts throughout the design and build process. Establish properly managed feedback loops at implementation. And be accountable for addressing and acting upon feedback, refining your products and services accordingly. Locals, and when I say locals, I'm referring to your end users and customers at this point. Locals tend to be their own best searchers. They find appropriate workarounds that suit the context of their own lives and situations. It's a fundamental reason why they should be collaborated with throughout projects aimed at benefiting them. They can help you help them. So my experience in St Claverie offered me much in life. A significant thing that I've learned about, and the one we've been talking about here today, is establishing empathy for others, okay? Develop a deeper empathy for your customers, act on it, and they will reward you. Thanks, guys. Thanks for listening.
Probably was Paul. I got this.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much, Paul.
Yes. Thank you. So I'm here to introduce the next speaker. But Paul, you were terrific.
Thanks.
And I was talking to my buddy up the back, and I asked him if I was a searcher or a planner.
What did you come up with?
He didn't say. He said I was neither. So, is there another category?
We'll make one up for you.
Oh,
You can be both.
Anyway, I love the grassroots approach. So we're just waiting for the next speaker. He's running a couple of minutes late. But it's been a very good event so far. A lot of very technical, there's a lot of technology at the event.